God is not committing the sin of jealousy. God is determined that we view him as our source of life and not be deceived by the propaganda of his enemies, who would turn you away from him to worship them. He says, I visit the iniquity. This is the idea of keeping track of the progression of degeneracy from one generation to the next. It doesn't mean that he's going to punish you for what your father did or your mother did or your grandparents. No, it means that you're going to receive these predispositions that came from the behavior that your parents and grandparents practiced. It's going to pass down to you. In Deuteronomy 24:16, he says, fathers shall not be put to death for their sons, nor sons put to death for their fathers. Everyone shall be put to death for his own sin. Ezekiel 18:19, and yet you say, why should the son not bear the punishment for the father's iniquity? When the son has practiced justice and righteousness, and has observed all my statutes and done them, he shall surely live. The person who sins will die. The son will not bear the punishment of the father's iniquity, nor the father bear the punishment for the son's iniquity. The righteousness of the righteous will be upon himself, and the wickedness of the wicked will be upon himself. So we're not talking about punishing one person for the sins of another. We're talking about passing down these tendencies, this corruption that came from one generation to the next, that started with idolatry. We're back in all this discussion because we're trying to understand how Solomon, tempted away in his latter days, 60 years later, he's opened the door for this degeneracy that has now caused all of Israel under Ahab to be saturated with evil. They've gone to worship Baal instead of the Lord.